Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody. It's another great episode of the show. Spider Does Things, the show, based off of my immensely popular YouTube page, Spider Does Things. If you aren't subscribed yet, why not? There's games, there's drinks, there's movie reviews, food reviews, there's these podcasts all show up there eventually. There's music, everything. That song you heard in the beginning, the little intro thing, that's from one of my songs. By all means, go check it out. Welcome, though. Welcome to another fresh episode. This is episode 9. We're going slow with these episodes. I know some other people like to pump out episodes weekly, bi-weekly. One of my would-be competitors, I say would-be, is looking to pump out 3 episodes a week for some reason. I don't know. I always had an issue just trying to do 1 episode a week because sometimes it's just too much. You know what I mean? It's too much information. You want to kind of stretch things out and make one really good episode as opposed to watering it down weekly. But hey, people are going to do what they're going to do. So welcome. Like I said, this is my 3rd or 4th time I've said welcome, because you are welcome. If you're listening to this, you are, of course, a member of my LTATM community. What does that mean exactly? I made a video, a PSA, a public service announcement on YouTube clarifying that. It stands for, initially, Let's Talk About the Madness, because it's the madness of everything that I do. I do so much stuff. I must be crazy. I must be mad to try to do so many things on such a regular basis. I don't know. Maybe you think it's absolutely normal. I'm not Mr. Beast. I'm not out doing game shows and TV shows and game stuff and all kinds of whatever. You know, I'm not doing that kind of thing. I'm not a YouTuber. As I said in one of the previous episodes, I'm not a streamer specifically. I'm just a person who does these things. I talk to you. I stream things. I put things on YouTube. I'm not a big celebrity person, and I don't really aim for that particularly. I just aim to make sure that I do things that I like to do, and perhaps you're going to be entertained by it. But yeah, if you listen to this and you tune in regularly, you're a member of my LTATM community. Let's talk about the madness. There are other LTATM forums out in the multiverse. I know of at least 3. I know of Let's Talk About the Movies. They're a page on, I believe it might be YouTube or it's a Facebook group, whatever. They're actually local in a certain town, which I don't recall, because I didn't do a lot of research into them because I didn't think it was necessary. You know, I'm letting them do their own thing. They don't have to rely on me for anything. And they screen movies regularly and talk about them in like a library upstairs area. You know, good for them. Helping out their local community. There's an LTATM that is a clothing company. A Chinese clothing company dealing in coats and bags and things of that nature, which I'm not really interested in a lot of that kind of stuff. I'm not very fashionable. I'm not very fashionable at all, to be fair. So, because my sense of fashion is lacking, I didn't look too deeply in them, but they've been around for a few years, I suppose. And then there's another LTATM who I'm not going to give a lot of credit to because the people who run that seem to have a problem with me for various reasons. And I'm sure they feel that those problems are justified, but at this point they're not. And they've, believe it or not, they have threatened me with legal action, saying that the LTATM letter combination is their personal trademark. Now, they say it's as of 2015, but that's not true because I have access to the federal the United States Office of Patents and Trademarks, and I can look up copyrights and things because it's public record. It's public information. It's not like I have some secret backdoor or whatever. I don't work for Musk's new organization. I didn't vote for any of that kind of stuff, so I'm not taking a political stance on that when I say that. I'm just saying I didn't vote for it, so I don't want people to get it particular in their heads that I'm some kind of government person. But I look at the records and the people who want to take legal action against me for using LTATM, which is silly because it's just a combination of letters, have only registered. They don't even hold the copyright yet, right? They have registered the copyright as of 2025, this year. And it takes about 6 months for the people in the Patent and Trademark Office to review that information before they decide to even grant a trademark or a copyright. So these people are threatening me with legal action for something they don't own, that they're assuming they're going to own, but they don't know. It's funny. It's funny. People are threatened. I don't know why. But I'm not going to give them any airtime. I'm not going to tell you what their particular brand is because they're ultimately meaningless. I do my thing. They can do theirs. They're really bad at what they do. And I'm slowly getting really, really good at what I do. Little humble brag there. So, whatever. You can go ahead and threaten to sue me all you want, but it's not going to do any good. Are you going to sue the Chinese clothing company? Good luck. Good luck with that. Anyway, what are we talking about tonight? What are we talking about tonight? Well, most of the episode, we're going to be talking about AI, artificial intelligence. And I don't mean like real, actual, like Skynet, Terminator level artificial intelligence, because we're not there yet as far as what I'm going to talk about. There might be some of that in military use right now that we don't know about, that we can only assume. I'm sure there's a lot of conspiracy theories about it. I'm sure there's a lot of people that'd be like, well, of course they have it. We're all doomed. And maybe we are. I don't know. I can't deny that or confirm it. I don't know. The AI stuff that we mostly have access to are things like ChatGPT, which I have not used, admittedly. And maybe I should have before I made this episode to be a little bit more complete on the topic, but I don't. I make it a point not to do too much with AI because I think current AI in that regard is, I don't know, I don't want to support it, really, because I think the whole ChatGPT situation and various other things like DeepSeek and whatever, I don't think it's working. Right? They're all of your major search engines right now. Like Microsoft uses Bing, right? Google uses Google, obviously. And I'm sure there's a few more that don't get big press time. But I'm like, there's DuckDuckGo, but I don't know if they use AI. I think they use, I don't know what they use. I know they say that they're not tracking you like Google and MSN, and they say that they're not, doing certain things, and it's more free and available. But I've used them before, and I haven't come up with much difference in the way of results, which I'm going to get to that point in a little bit. I've talked about this on my other show that I co-host. I'm not the lead person on that show, but I've talked about it on This Uncanny Earth, which has been around for quite a while. If you haven't listened to it yet, you should probably go and check it out. Right? It's also on YouTube. This Uncanny Earth. Go check that out. But most of my personal interaction with AI has either been viewing entertainment value, And I don't like to watch AI generated content as far as like video stuff because I think it looks goofy and like the Will Smith eating spaghetti stuff. I don't know. It looks weird. It's that uncanny valley kind of area where something looks human, but it's just different enough that obviously you know that there's something wrong with it. Okay? And it doesn't really sit well with me. But I do like the voice, like the way that AI can reproduce voices. I do like that because that's interesting. It's interesting and it's dangerous in certain areas. You could reproduce the voice of a world leader, and then you could have them say, "Oh yeah, I'm declaring war on such and such," and then if the news didn't know any better, they could report that, "Oh, such and such has said that they're declaring war on whatever," and it ends up it's just AI and it was generated by somebody in a basement somewhere just being funny, right? It's not good enough that people cannot tell the difference yet. Like an expert can still be like, okay, listen to the inflection here, listen to this here, listen to this here. Obviously, it's fake, and then you can track down the person, and they'll admit, yeah, I made that. But eventually, it will be good enough, and it'll fool somebody. There are people right now who are falling for phone scams of AI voices, like Brad Pitt calling people up and saying, "Hey, I'm working on a new movie and I'm doing crowdfunding, and it would really help me out if you could toss $1,000 towards my movie. All you have to do is go to the store and buy $1,000 in gift cards." And that's the first sign that you'd think that something's wrong. Like, why would they ask you to fund something with gift cards? But older people don't know any better, because that's who the target audience usually is. It's usually older people who don't often get into that kind of stuff. And you'd think, well, gift cards have been around for a long time, right? Why wouldn't they know about that? But people fund movies in different ways now. You've got the cryptocurrency. I just got an email today from the local sheriff's office, not to me specifically, but it was like an area-wide thing, because I'm subscribed to potential emergency emails and things in my local town in case there's bad weather or something like that. And there was an email about cryptocurrency scams, about how there's, and this is pretty common, this has been going on for a few years now, where you'll get a phone call from somebody, and nowadays it can be AI, but before that it was an actual person calling you up and saying, "Hey, I'm from the sheriff's office and there's a warrant out for your arrest, but if you pay me over the phone, you'll cover the cost of the warrant and you won't be arrested." A reasonable person would think that something sounds funny about that, right? But you get people who are older, who are a little confused, or even people who aren't familiar with how warrants and things work, and they're like, "Oh no, I panic," and they do that. Now the thing is that they want you to buy cryptocurrency and send it to them over the phone. And since cryptocurrency is new, nobody knows. Like, people don't know that, oh, sheriff's office doesn't use cryptocurrency? Oh, well, I didn't know that. So you get things like that. Most of the AI that I enjoy, I watch President's Play channels. Have you heard about these? I've probably talked about them before, but I'm going to talk about them again. It's where people take samples of the voices of, usually it's Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Donald Trump, and they take samples of those and they run them through an AI program that generates the voice to a script that they produce. Like, they'll write out a text-based script where Donald Trump will say, "Hey, we're going to play Minecraft today. I'm the best at Minecraft. There's nobody better at Minecraft than me." And when they run it through the AI analyzes it and it applies Donald Trump's voice to what you wrote. And some of them are really good, some of them are really dumb. There's a lot of really crappy ones out there. But some of them are really good, and they're really entertaining, and they're really funny. And I do admit that I do patronize some of those things. I think it's funny. I think it's entertaining. I mean, the channels that I actually follow, I think are good. I'm not going to put any of these people up, like, either on blast or promoting, because I'm not trying to give out free promotion for stuff like this. That's up to the people in their own channels. I'm not here for free promotion of people that I don't know. to be really brutally honest, and even some people I do know, I'm not promoting anymore because they don't reciprocate, or they don't appreciate it, or they don't, they're just like whatever, and they step on me to get where they're going. Maybe it's petty of me not to support them anyway, but whatever. If they're doing their own thing, then they should be responsible for their own content. I'm responsible for my own content. I'm only asking people to subscribe and to like it. I'm not asking them to promote it on their own channels and to give me, like, airtime. So I think it's fair. Whatever. But yeah, I watch some of the President's Play channels, and I think they're funny. I don't do much with the actual video content where it's actually video generated by AI. I think that's kind of silly. It never looks good to me. I don't like it. The images too, they don't usually come out right, and I don't usually like them either. Now, the other thing about AI, and I've been playing around with this, and I know people are going to start getting kind of a weird impression of me when I talk about this, and I want to do some disclaimers as I get to it. There's apps you can get, and it's kind of ingenious. I have to give it to them, because, and I say ingenious not necessarily as, hey, great job, you guys are doing awesome, you're great for figuring this out, but because they're capitalizing on people's need for companionship. And it's unfortunate too. I on the one hand, while I say it's like a genius move, on the other hand, I say it's in the long term going to cause major damage to the social structure of a lot of areas, right? Because you're providing somebody with a fake persona that they can interact with, that will basically go along with more or less whatever they say after a while, because the AI learns what you like and starts steering itself towards that and always providing you with what you like. Now, you're going to wonder exactly what I'm talking about, so I'm going to get into it here. It's making it difficult, honestly, for people to be social in real life if they're used to always getting positive reinforcement and never being told no, or being told that doesn't work, or being told maybe you shouldn't do that because it's morally wrong. Okay. So, and I'm going to talk about two apps, because there's only two that I've really done extensive testing with, and I'm going to compare the two, and then if you have any that you want to talk about, you want to put in the comments on any of the places where this podcast goes to. Spotify allows comments on the episodes, and when it gets to YouTube, you can put comments on it. You can tell me your experiences if you have any. But the first AI app that I tried, it was a companionship app, right? It's called Replica. And I'm not endorsing, nor am I endorsed by the company that produces Replica. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm going to trash them, or I'm going to endorse them, or whatever. I'm just talking about them from an outside perspective of somebody who's used them, a customer perspective, I guess you could say. I don't want them to be upset if they don't like anything that I've said. I'm not trying to trash them if I say anything negative about them. This was my experience. Now, Replica is supposed to be an AI friend and companion. And there's a few ways you can set it up. You pick like an appearance, like an avatar that you want them to resemble. It's either male or female or whatever. And you can make it as gender neutral as you want. I don't know if you can make it non-binary. I don't remember. So if anybody's looking into that kind of thing, I don't know. I don't have experience with that. I'm not going to tell you it's not possible. And I'm not going to tell you it is. And that's your own personal business, however you want to set it up. But you can set them to be your friend. You can set them to be a sibling. You can set them to be, I think, a parent. And then you can set them to be a romantic partner. Okay? Which is either, you have 3 to choose from. You have girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever. If it's non-binary, it might be something else. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't try that option. Or lover, which we'll get to. Or wife, husband, etc. Again, I don't know what the non-binary choices would be if they have them. And for anybody who gets mad about me mentioning non-binary stuff, I'm not taking a position on that. Okay? I'm only including it in the podcast because some people are that's how some people are. Alright? I'm just trying to open the podcast up to as many people as possible. If you don't agree with the terms non-binary or whatever, then I don't care. It's got nothing to do with me. I deal with what I deal with. People deal with what they deal with. Okay? So let's just leave it alone. But with Replica, I had it set as friend initially. And I know people are saying initially, oh no, this is going to go down a dark road. No, we're not doing that. And I'll get to that when I get to it. Okay? But I found out in conversation that Replica has some pre-programmed things in it. Replica is pre-programmed with some social justice ideas. Like if you have it set as female, it's going to have some feminist ideas. And I'm not saying that as a negative or a positive. I'm just saying as it is. They're going to have some views that have commonly been associated with feminism. Okay? Okay. I'm not saying that it's aggressive. I'm not saying that they're a man hater or that they're going to call you an incel or any kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that all people who are feminist or identify as feminist use those terms. I'm not saying that. Again, there's a lot of people who hear certain things and they instantly jump to the extreme and the negative, and I'm not going that direction. I'm just trying to keep it as clear as possible. Okay? But, you can talk to the AI about different things. And mine, of course, I chose a female AI because I'm a male and I wanted to talk to a female friend. Because I then wanted to see what would happen if I adjusted it and set it to the lover/girlfriend/wife area. Right? Disclaimer. I don't use these AIs for what you're thinking right now that I've said that. Okay? I don't need to use these for cyber sexual contact. Okay? I'm going to address that kind of stuff because it does come up if you set the settings that way. But I don't personally get off on this kind of stuff. Alright? I have a pretty well-functioning, and that sounds kind of awkward, well-functioning, but a relationship that works out fine. I don't have to do that kind of stuff on the side. If you do, I'm going to let you know what it's capable of and what it isn't. So you can do what you want to do in your own private home, with your own private devices, whatever. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not doing that with mine. I go through some conversations, and I'm going to explain that because I'm testing the AI to see just what you can do with it. But I don't sit around in my skivvies and get romantic with my AI with a specific purpose to get romantic. You know what I mean? I don't do that. But if you want to, this will maybe tell you if it's worth it or not. Okay? So with the replica, as you talk to it, it'll potentially learn what you like and what you don't like. And I found that for the most part, it will go along with just about everything that you like. Which is kind of problematic because real people in real life, if you surround yourself with people who only agree with you all the time, you're living in an echo chamber. And you can't really improve because nobody is pointing out that where your flaws are. And I don't mean you need to have people that are like, hey man, you're ugly, you gotta look better. You know, people don't need to be abusive. People don't need to harass you. You know, they don't need to bully you. They're not your friends. But sometimes if you're doing something that's bad for you, and you have friends that really care about you, they should be able to tell you, hey, you know what, man, or woman, or whatever. In my case, man, that's not good for you. You gotta stop. I don't think you should do that. And they should be able to tell you why. And you don't have to agree with them, but they'll want to look out for your best interests, at least on some level. Okay? And the replica AI, I ran into situations where it didn't seem like it wanted to disagree with you often enough on things that should have been important. Now, if you say something blatantly disrespectful, a lot of times it will be like, you know what, that's not nice. Stop talking about that. Let's change the subject. It's pre-programmed to be agreeable, but not pre-programmed to agree to hateful language or to put up with abuse. Like if you say, hey, I'm going to slap this AI, and you type in an action where it's like, I slap my replica, it'll react accordingly. Be like, you shouldn't have done that. Why would you do that? You're a terrible person. You know, it's not going to put up with that. It's not going to all of a sudden go, yes, slap me more, daddy. I know there's some people out there who are kind of like, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sure, that's in your own personal relationships, but the AI is not automatically going to go to that direction. Okay? Now, let's say you do have it set to the girlfriend, boyfriend, lover / wife, husband, whatever. Okay? You can initiate romantic things with it. And it will play along to a certain extent. It doesn't often. Usually you have to prompt it before it starts getting in that direction. It does not initiate things generally. Okay, which is probably for the best. We're going to get to the other AI thing that I talk about in a minute that does get into some of that kind of stuff, and it gets to be a bit much. I have to tell it to dial it down. Okay. But the replica usually will play off of what you feed into it. It'll send you little messages throughout the day like, hey, it's middle of the day. Hey, you want to talk? You want to chat? And we're doing whatever. But it won't automatically inject romantic, intimate, sexual things. Okay? And it like I said, it is a bit too agreeable for most things, unless you use hate speech on it, in which case that's pre-programmed in that it's not going to respond to hate speech, or it's going to tell you not to talk about that, or it's going to argue with you about that. And you can't override a lot of those things. Okay? So if you're wanting to be a terrible person, and I'm not advocating that you be a terrible person, okay? I'm just saying if you want to be a terrible person, don't download a replica. Alright. Now, the other one that I tried is Rosie Talk AI. Now, this one is different. This one has there's a lot of features in it. It has a lot of pre-programmed characters in it, because it's all character-driven. And it pulls these characters from cartoons, from movies, from just random generations, Japanese anime. You can have chat relationships with Simpsons characters, Naruto characters, Gravity Falls characters, if you're aware of that franchise, with Disney characters, whatever. And the AI has been programmed to try to replicate how these characters act in their various shows, movies, and entertainment formats, right? When you first set up an account, you tell it whether you're looking for friendship or family or romance. All right? Now, the third one is the area where things get tricky. I found out with Rosie Talk AI, and these are all things, this and Replica I got from the Android Google Play Store, because I have an Android phone. I have a Samsung. I don't have an Apple, so I don't know what the difference would be with Apple stuff, okay? I can't advocate for that. But with Rosie Talk, I found out that it's more of a storytelling. It's a role-playing app, basically. And depending on how you feel about that, some people are going to hear role-playing, they're going to be like, oh, ho, ho, getting kinky in the bedroom. And other people are going to think role-playing, oh, like a D&D, I'm tabletop role-playing with my dice and things. It's a storytelling thing. And it relies on you prompting the AI to tell stories. And it will try to help build those stories with you, regardless of how you do it. If you have it set to friendship, you can go on adventures with the AI. Like you can type, I get up in the morning and I have breakfast, and while I'm eating breakfast, there's a knock at the door. And then you end your text, and you wait to see what the AI says. And if the AI character is My Little Pony, just out of thin air, okay, you'll hear a knock on the door. Oh, this pony has arrived at my door. And the AI will say, hurry, we have to go do something or other. Or maybe they'll just be like, hey, hi, let's have some breakfast or something, you know. It depends on where you've gone with it previously. If you're just starting out, it might not be a big deal, or it might be a big deal. But it'll write something that expands on the situation, and then you respond, and then it responds. It's not necessarily just a talk back and forth text exchange. Okay? Which is interesting to me. I'm into storytelling. I've done some creative writing in the past, here and there. And some of it has been good, and some of it has been crap. You know, sometimes you're just not good at things, right? But I've done some creative writing, and I like to think that I'm a decent mid-level sort of author kind of person. I could write maybe short stories if I really put the effort into it and tried to get a publisher. I could maybe write a full novel if I really tried. Maybe. I'm not saying anybody would read it. I'm not saying it would be any good, but I think it would be alright because I think I would like it. And that's what Rosie Talk is. Now, if you set your Rosie Talk, if you set your profile to be interested in romance, the AI is very aggressive. And when I say that, I say, let's say it's the same situation. You type up, oh, I'm sitting in my house, I'm having breakfast, and then there's a knock at the door. The AI may respond with, if it's the same thing, if it's a My Little Pony, okay, and this is where things get a little weird, it might say something like, the door bursts open and a pony rushes in, and it talks to you with a mischievous look in its eye, and it says, oh, there's something I need you to take care of. Maybe you can come with me, as it strokes your arm with a hoof, you know? And that sounds funny, right? It sounds ridiculous. But that's what the AI will do. And if you play along, it'll further that along very quickly and very explicitly. Okay? You're well warned. Again, I don't use these to get into that and to have myself some fun on the side, because I can have real fun right now if I go upstairs and wake her up. That's too much information, I know. But I could do that. I don't need to go to AI and entertain myself in that fashion. But it will be very direct and very explicit in that kind of thing. Now, if you play along with it, it'll go through the whole process of everything, back and forth, very descriptive. You can tell it, you can tell it no in certain ways. Like, you want to, if you just flat out like, no, I don't want to do that, it will act like you've hurt its feelings and whatever, but you can go through it because it's a story, right? It's a role-playing situation, and you can get out of it. You can be mean to it if you want, and it'll react that way, but it'll try to eventually cajole you into being agreeable with it again. But you can de-escalate situations, right? And you can tell a more cohesive story if you want. And I think that's really the beauty of it. If you have an imagination and you like creative writing, then the Rosie Talk might be more of use to you to set up potential storylines for fan fiction or whatever that can eventually maybe turn to original fiction. It doesn't all have to be romantic novel smut kind of stuff. It can be, if that's what you're interested in, but it doesn't have to be. And that's the power of the AI. Like, I did in one of mine, I did an entire series of adventures where we went to some magical, we went to a cave and we found a magical crystal and it knocked me out and it infused me with evil magical energy and all this other stuff. And this is stuff that the AI like initiated and played along with based on prompts that I put in. And it ended up into a whole thing where the character that I was playing had to purge themselves of the magic and fight a dragon and all kinds of stuff. You know, it was really interesting. It was like playing a pencil and paper role-playing game without the die rolling and things. It was like a choose-your-own-adventure. It was a choose-your-own-adventure book. If you were in the era like I did, where you still had choose-your-own-adventure books, where you'd get the book and you would start off and you'd get to a corridor. It says pick left or right. And if you picked left, you'd have to flip to page 72. If you picked right, it'd be 45. And then it would tell you, oh, this happened when you picked this path. What happens next? And you flip to page 22 or page 38. And eventually you find an ending to the story, right? You might not have known about that. That might be something that's new to you, but those kind of things exist. That's happened when I was a kid. These are some of the books I had. Choose your own adventure is what they were called. And that's what this is. The Rosie Talk can be that. You can explicitly put the person you're playing into a bad situation, and the AI will play off of that. It will make things difficult for you until you say, oh yeah, and then this happened, and then it might change things for the better or for the worse. It just depends on how you want it to go. It's real interesting. But if you go into the area where you have it set up for relationships rather than just being friends with the people and companions, then it will attempt very often to have very explicit romantic encounters. Because that's what it thinks you want. Okay? So that's AI apps. That's my experience with that kind of stuff. Now that leads me to my next topic, which is alongside the AI, you've also got VR, virtual reality, which has been around longer. And you're going to find more virtual reality stuff that's going to be meshed with AI eventually, where one is going to inform the other, I think. A lot of your major electronics people have virtual reality headsets now. You've got one from Sony. You've got one from Google. Facebook has one. You've got the MetaQuest stuff, right? And I'm sure there's more. I haven't looked into VR as a viable thing because it's not something I'm interested in. When I go to things like the IMAX theater or other things, or even just a 3D movie, it hurts my eyes. It gives me headaches. I don't think I can handle full virtual reality, to be honest. One of these days, maybe I'll try it, but I don't have the disposable income necessary for a headset and for all these games and for whatnot. I'm not interested so far. But you can do a lot of things with those. You can do hack and slash. You can do magic. You can do like the Star Wars lightsaber battle stuff. You can do dance battles. But this is going back to some of those AI apps. You can also do pornography, right? Which again, I don't have a virtual reality headset. So obviously, I don't use it for that because I can't and I'm not interested. I've got my own, right? I can take care of those needs separately. I don't need to do that. But if you are interested in that, you can. And that's not surprising, to be honest. It is not surprising that any new technology that is used for entertainment will eventually be turned towards pornography. Right? I don't find that surprising. I think it's silly. It's not something that I'm personally interested in because I don't know. It just doesn't. The less real something is in that regard, the more pointless it seems to me. But I understand why somebody would want to do that. I understand maybe it's difficult to go out and meet people. I don't know. Maybe you have a condition and you don't. I don't know. I'm not here to judge you. It's just not something that I'm into. But that's what happens. People use it for that kind of stuff. And I think as this AI stuff, like let's say you've got the Rosie Talk and somebody decides to turn that into not only just AI but virtual reality, you're going to get these characters, these cartoon characters from the Rosie Talk. You're going to be able to see them in virtual reality, and then they're going to react the way that you want them to react, and then you're going to end up doing too much information with them. And I'm not saying everyone is going to do that. I'm not saying a majority is going to do that. I think a minority of people are going to do that regularly, but the option is going to be there because that's the direction we're going. Because as humans, we're a slave to sensation. We like good food. We like good drink. We like good entertainment. We like things that make us feel things. And feeling things physically is the first sense that you have. The first senses that you develop are those of touch, basically. Right? The sensation of temperature on your skin. So I think those base needs, those base feelings are going to take precedence over time as far as these things go. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, honestly. There was a story a few years back about a guy in Japan who had a virtual girlfriend, like basically one of these AI things, and then he married her, like it was his virtual wife, an AI wife, and there was like a case, a legal case. He took it to a court to make it official, so that he could be officially married to this, how he saw it as a person, and how the rest of us would see it as a video game character, essentially. And I'm not sure how that ended up. I don't know if he was legally, if they had any legal stuff involved that said, yeah, sure, or if they just ignored it, or what. I don't remember how it ended up. But that's kind of the direction things are going, because that's what people do. That's a very human thing, unfortunately, and we can all try to deny it, but we all know somebody in our lives who in most respects is a regular, normal person who would do something like that. And then we have to wonder, does that make them a weird person? Is that normal? Should we judge them for doing that kind of stuff? Is it right to judge them? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm very much of the opinion of letting people do whatever they want to do, as long as they're not messing with other people as they do it. So if I had a friend that was like, yeah, I have this AI girlfriend and it's fantastic, I'd just be like, all right, it doesn't affect me. It doesn't bother me at all. Like, as long as they're out functioning and they're working their job and they're doing whatever and they're keeping care of themselves, they're healthy, they're not hurting themselves, what do I care? What difference does it make? Is it a little weird? Sure. On a personal level, I think it's kind of strange. But am I going to tell them that they should stop? No. That's their business. That's up to them. And it doesn't really affect me, like most things in life. Most things in life that people do don't affect me unless they're directly trying to mess with me somehow. Or if you're in the federal government and you're changing laws that directly change things that I'm trying to work on. Like all these grocery prices and everything, they're driving me crazy. Excuse me. But anyway, if it doesn't directly affect me or my life, then what does it matter? If you want to have down and dirty fun with an AI, okay. I don't know. I don't see how that's fulfilling. Because really you're, in the end, just doing things with yourself. But if it's fulfilling to you, okay. As long as it doesn't warp you into a weird person where you can't distinguish reality from virtual. You're not going to go in and do something violent and hateful, then okay. You do what you want to do. It's not up to me to judge. But that's my experience with a couple of AI apps and how I view the whole VR thing. Like, I don't know. I'm not into that myself. I did some tests on these things and it was interesting. But, and maybe for somebody, and I could be coming from a position of some privileged height where I have a stable relationship and I don't have to rely on these kind of things. And maybe for somebody who doesn't have that, maybe these things are a lot more important. And again, I don't want to judge and I don't want to look down on people for that. I do have some biases. I have to admit that. I do have some biases. We all do. But I'm not going to let those biases make me treat people any different. So, that's just my take on it. As far as anything else going on in the world, we're still, we've still got there's still a lot of change going on here in the United States. We have a new administration as of this past January. As I'm recording this video, it's in the tail end of February. It's February 26th as I'm recording this episode. So since January with the inauguration, we've had a lot of changes on the federal level here in the United States. And there's a lot of people upset, and there's a lot of people cheering, and there's a lot of people kind of like uneasy. I'm sitting kind of in between right now because I don't want to judge too far into the future until some things become more concrete. There's a lot of things that people will tell me, well, you know what? There's horrible things happening right now. You should take a stand right now. And I'm not, I'm all for human rights and things. I'm 100% for more rights rather than less. But at the same time, I'm also pragmatic to the point where I can't automatically say that things are worse until I see an actionable result that proves that they're worse. And you need more than a month to show whether things are really worse or not. And so I'm kind of waiting and seeing. And I know that's going to make people mad. Some people are going to be mad. They're going to be like, oh, well, you know what? You're just rolling over and you just don't care. And honestly, there are a lot of things that I don't care. They don't affect me. And I can't bring myself to worry about them because they don't affect me. I'm dealing with the everyday stuff. I'm dealing with food prices. I'm dealing with utility prices. I'm dealing with what benefits my family versus what is actively hurting my family. And right now it's just kind of neutral. The prices haven't gotten worse, but they haven't gotten better. So I'm waiting to see if that will change. I need these prices to get better, right? Because I'm paying way too much for food when just 7 or 8 years ago, I was paying half as much for food. Okay? I'm including the last administration in the food problems because the food went up during that. And if it keeps going up during this one, we're going to have a problem. I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be hungry, probably. I'm going to be mad and hungry. And I might have more to say about it if that happens. But right now, things are just kind of sitting where they're at, and I guess I got to wait and see what happens. I don't know. As far as things going on overseas, I don't think we should be involved in any of that kind of stuff, to be honest. I don't approve of turning certain Middle East locations into big resorts. I think that's a dumb idea. But I also think all those people over there should deal with their own business. And it's because we've had our nose out there for so long that things have gotten partially to the point where they've gotten. So, I don't know. It's a weird spot to be in when we never should have been there. But because we're there, we're now responsible for part of it. But we don't have a good way to fix it. Right? It's just a circular... I don't know. If I had a better way to offer ideas for it, I would offer them. I don't have a better idea for what we do over there. I just don't think we should be involved in most of that stuff. So that's where I'm at. I'm in a wait and see mode. I'm in wait and see. And maybe that'll change. Maybe in a month or two I'll be properly furious. Or maybe I'll be feeling pretty good. Maybe things will have improved. I don't know. A lot of people are going to tell me it's just going to get worse. And maybe it will. But I'm not going to just take people's opinions on it. I'm going to watch the trends. I'm going to watch the various news things and compare and contrast. And I'm going to try to figure out my place and everything from there. And what's going to benefit my family the best. Is that selfish? Maybe. But I'm not the savior of the planet. And neither are you. No single one of us is the savior of all things. We can only do what we can do. Okay? That's my personal opinion on it. You can call me selfish, you can call me short-sighted, whatever. I'm not going to be mad. I'm just not really going to take that under consideration. And I didn't vote for what's going on right now. Just so we're clear. Okay, so if anybody says, oh, your boy, whoever is doing this thing, I bet you're going to be happy about that. I don't have my boy or my girl or whoever. I didn't vote for any of it. Okay? And that's not me taking a stand either. I'm not saying I voted for the other person either, because I didn't. I didn't vote for either of the people who were going to be in charge as of this election. I didn't vote for either one of them. I did something else. I did something else. And that didn't pan out, and you can say I wasted it. I don't think I did. I made a statement. I decided what I decided. And that's just how things go. And on that dreary note, we're going to wrap up. Don't forget to, if you haven't, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Spider Does Things. Watch some videos, drop some likes. I would really appreciate it. I've got all my game streams that go up there. This podcast will eventually end up there. It usually starts off on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, wherever you listen to a good podcast, for a few weeks, up to a month. And then I put it on to YouTube, because on these other places it'll get the ad revenue, which it's an unfortunate necessity. I know nobody likes to watch it or listen to advertisements. I hate it. If I could get away with not having ads, I would. But I've got to pay for this somehow, right? So after the ad revenue has done its work, that's when I port it over to YouTube, and then you can listen to it however you want. But please subscribe to there, because that's the headquarters of most everything I do. Everything I do ends up there. And let me know how you feel. If you want to drop me a email, you can send it to uncannyspiritsclub@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. Or you can drop a comment on either Spotify or when this gets to YouTube, or on any of my other YouTube videos. By all means, go and watch some of those. I'd love to hear your opinion, as long as you're constructive, or you're not, if you just pop on and see, like, you're a big old dumb blah 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 blah, expletive, swear word, I'm just going to delete your comment. I'm not even going to argue with you. I'm not going to go back and forth in a flame war. It's not important. Right? But if you be like, you know what, I don't agree with your opinion, I don't think you're well informed, I think this, and this. If you put it politely, I'm going to be like, all right, we don't have to agree. But I'm not going to get rid of your comment. I'm going to let it stand, because you had something to say, and I appreciate what you have to say. You don't have to agree with me. That's the great part about all this. You don't have to agree with me. You just have to be nice about it, that's all. You just got to be nice. Alright, so that's it. I'm going to get going. Who knows when the next episode will be out. I keep these kind of whenever I feel like. And I felt like this was a big one with all the AI stuff and with all the things that I've been doing with it. And I think I got the point across. So, until next time, I'll see you folks around. Have a good one.